Hey everyone, this is the build video for the Legit Wing 40-inch wing. Make sure you check the contents of your kit to make sure you have all the appropriate things that come in the kit. You'll have a check-off list. Once you do that, the first step in building this wing is to glue your wing beds together. You're not going to glue the wings yet because we're going to do a motor mount at the same time. The key thing about the wing beds, go ahead and take the top of the wing beds off. Yours will be a little sticky, you'll have to kind of tear apart. One thing you'll notice is that where the cut is here is very low here and it's very high here, and the top of the wing has a very curved surface to it. The bottom is much flatter, so that's how you identify the top from the bottom. So go ahead and take your top of the wing beds off. We'll glue these in just a moment. But just a quick note about the wing bed. You want to check the thickness of the wing bed because these are made as two separate independent wings. You want to make sure that the thickness of the bottom here is exactly the same. So when you put the two halves together, you're going to run your hand along here and visually, you're going to feel with your hand and visually check also with your eyes to make sure that the two halves are the exact same thickness. Because if one is slightly thicker than the other, you'll get two wings. If you put the wings in and glue it together, you'll have one wing that's slightly off. So this wing is perfect. The thicknesses on both sides are identical. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this together with some hot glue. And just right here on the table, I'm going to get it all lined up. And this is going to ensure when we glue our wing together, it's going to be perfectly centered and perfectly matched. Anytime you get any twisting of the wing from side to side, that creates torque and it creates a horribly flying airplane. So this step right here is one of the keys to making your airplane fly the best. Make sure the back posterior edge is lined up perfectly, and also the front edge right here. But push that together, let it dry, and we will head on to the next step. And now it's time to go ahead and take off all the fingerlings that are on the side here. Now you can actually take the two halves and kind of rub them together. You'll see the stuff kind of coming off, which does a really good job. These over here. It's going to snow. Okay, so one of the techniques I use for this, guys, is I take a blade from your snap-off knife, and we're going to go ahead and take one of these and just kind of shave some of this stuff off of there. I like to call them fingerlings. I don't like to kind of call them hairs because it sounds disgusting. You'll see that it doesn't quite all the way come off, so all you do is you take your knife, and what you're going to do is keep your wing parallel to the ground and the knife, the blade parallel to the wing as well. Just come slowly across, and once it contacts something, just kind of pull it through, and you'll see that it'll start lifting off all these little fingerlings, and you can see it all start to come off there. So go ahead and finish this on the top and bottom. It should leave a nice smooth surface. This knife does not cut into the foam at all, so you're not going to get little jagged edges. You don't have to worry about using this. Be careful not to cut yourself, of course, and I'll see you guys when you're done with that. Well, alright guys, so what you want to do is grab your motor mount, which is going to look like this. This is the rear section, and this is the forward section. This is your motor mount that's going to be mounted on here. This is going to go right about here now. So let's go ahead and get the lower wing bed. And this is going to line up our wings just perfectly. These two wing halves come perfectly together. There's no deviation between right and left. That seam that you can see there is almost perfectly closed. So what we want to do here is you want to take some type of marking pen possibly. And I'm going to basically line this up now. I've got equal amount of distance on either side of this motor mount. Take a Sharpie or a marker pen or a paint pen and mark out this bit of foam here, just to kind of tell you where things are supposed to be here. Because at this point we're going to cut out the motor mount before we actually glue the two halves together, which is it's much easier, I think, and more accurate to do it this way. So we have our motor mount marked, and we're going to set that aside for right now. So I'm going to use a bunch of popsicle sticks stacked together to get the proper height that I want this motor mount to go into. So what the wing beds actually help do is they also help keep the wing parallel to the ground, or in this case my table. So when you are making your cut into the back of this wing here, you're going to make it in exactly the middle of the wing. So what you want to do is you want to make yourself up some sort of a jig, either out of popsicle sticks, that'll bring this height up to the center of this wing, and then we'll be slotting this out with a box knife. Okay guys, we have the wings lined up and I've had my motor mount in place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mark outside of these holes here because we want this motor mount to be able to sit here, and the edge of this motor mount is where we want the cutout for the on the foam. So basically I'm cutting right here. So I'm going to make just a nice straight mark here. Okay. And I'm going to cut it to about right here, because I don't think we actually need to have that motor go back that far. I can always cut that out a little bit further if I need. So we're going to go here. Alright, I'm not sure if you guys can actually see it on here. Hopefully you can, but I'm going to be cutting out here, here, and here. And basically that's going to give me enough room here to move my motor mount up and back. And like I said, if I need to make it a little bit deeper, I certainly can. Okay guys, so once you get those things cut out, go ahead and put your wings back into the wing bed. And I'll see if I can get you guys at a better angle here so you can see what's going on. Okay guys, so what I did here is I made a block of sticks here, and this is not popsicle stick material, but thank you to Shane McDowell one more time, and his wife Heather, and I'm using my calipers today so she won't yell at me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these all together. This is 17 millimeters, and what that means is basically it makes when you're going to be making your cut here in the center of the wing, it's the midpoint in the wing plus, so basically it's the wing bed plus the half of the wing right here, which is going to divide this wing perfectly in half. So you guys will see that in just a moment. So I'm just going to take these sticks here, I'm going to glue them together so that they're perfectly 17 millimeters, and that will act as my guide as I'm cutting the slot for the motor mount. Well, alright guys, I have my 17 millimeter block here. Now here's the thing, you guys need to make sure that you're cutting exactly in the middle of this foam here. I'm just using 17 millimeters as it applies to my kit. Yours might be slightly different. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife, and basically you can see right up to about here is where we want to cut to, which is right up here and right here. So what you want to do is, and I'm doing this with a camera, so I'm going to be as careful as I can, because I can't get in there and see exactly where I'm going, but I'm going to take my knife, make it go out as far as it can, keep it parallel with your spacer, and we're going to go ahead and cut this straight across. And the next step will be to cut from here over to finish the rest of the cut. So you want to make sure you're right in the center here. Come straight across. Now you're cutting towards yourself, but you've got a huge thing of foam in between you and your thumbs or whatever you're cutting towards. So I'm not worried about slipping and going towards myself here. So I'm going to overcut this just a little bit. And there we go. So you don't want to go through a bunch of times because you're going to actually catch the foam and chop it up, and you don't want to do that. So I've done that section there. You want to check where your cut is, which is right there. You're going to mark the tip of where that is. And this is where we are going to be cutting our next cut. So just going to reinsert this, and we're going to make a mark right where that is. And actually it's as thick as this on its side here, which is very fortunate for us. Slide this guy in here. Okay, so I luckily made my block the proper thickness sideways for this next cut, so you guys might have to investigate that. I'm going to shorten up this blade just a little bit here. I'm just going to go straight across here, keeping my blade parallel to the counter. And that should do it. Okay, just going to come through. I'm going to come through with the back of my blade and just make sure that everything is cut to the proper length, and it's cut to about right there, which is just overcutting it just by a slight bit. And let me go ahead and check with my motor mount here. I'm going to go ahead and slide this guy in here. So it looks like it's just perfect here. So this is what you should be seeing. You'll see the cut in there, and I'm going to go ahead and place the motor mount in right to about there. And what you're going to see is it's a little bit thicker here to the motor mount than it is here, and that's because of the airfoil shape. And this is what the Wingbeds do for you. It makes positive that this is perfectly in line with the frame here. Okay, so the next step is we're going to take obviously you guys have to do the other side. I won't bore you guys by doing that again. So the next step is to actually take a heated metal plate and sliding it in here and actually making a slot, because if you just left this the way it is and glued it in, you'd have a little bit of a bulge here right where the motor mount is secured, and we don't want that. We want to make a little pocket for this to set in so that it doesn't disrupt the airfoil. Okay guys, this is the step where we're going to heat the end of a ruler. This is a little bit, it's not super thick or anything like that, but once you heat this up and you place it inside the wing here, it's going to actually singe the foam, much like the outside of the airfoil is done with a hot wire. This is a hot slot that's going to go in there. It's going to make a little bit of a pocket for our motor mount. So we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. I'll just demonstrate that real quick. Now I would suggest having an old rag handy so that when after you pass this through, you don't ruin your ruler. You just take it and you can actually wipe it off. I'd say keep a gloved hand just so you're not going to burn yourself by accident. So let's go ahead and do this. I did this once already with the VR2 and it worked out great. So we're going to heat up about the last 3 to 4 inches. Alright, here we go. It's nice and hot there. I can see it smoking. Alright, here we go. And pass this through, be super careful. You want to kind of lift up the front lid here and pass it through. And once you start passing it through, it's going to take the path of least resistance. Okay, I just passed it through. Should be fine. Take your rag and wipe off all that grody excess right there while it's still hot. Alright, that is it. Okay, so let's take our motor mount. Let's see how easily it goes in here now. Let's see if you guys can see a slot there. You see that slot? Perfect. Perfect. There we are, and that'll give you enough space in there to have some glue as well. Of course, we're going to goop this in. Thanks again to Shane McDowell. He was the guy that came up with the awesome technique on how to most accurately place these motor mounts into position. So thanks again. Alright guys, so here we are. I'm going to be gluing both sides of the wing together along with the motor mount. Take a little bit of blue painter's tape and cover over the motor holes there, the mounting holes. Here I am putting the goop on the sides of the wing. Now I'm estimating that I put too much on both sides here. I'm smearing it in with a propeller or a stick. I would say scrape off a little bit more than I did. Like I said, as I'm pushing the wings together, a lot oozes out, so maybe don't use as much as I did here in this video. So I'm going to insert the motor mount there. The key thing here is to make sure that the motor mount goes in straight. It is completely lined up with the back leading edge of the airplane. Super, super, super important here. And I'm just kind of wiping off the goop as it comes out of that spot there. Pushing the T-pins all the way through each side of the wing. The T-pins are going to help hold the two sides of the wing together, obviously. And actually, I didn't have any problems with the glue oozing out the bottom as far as it gluing everything together. So so it worked out pretty well. So good luck on yours, and I'll see you in a sec. Alright guys, so I'm putting marks on my wing here for the leading edge spar. The leading edge spar is going to be 21.5 inches approximately. The inside mark that I made, the first mark, is at 1 inch from the leading edge, and the outside towards the outside wing is at 1.5 inches, so it moves back as it goes along the wing. Here I'm estimating where my GoPro box is going to be and where I'm going to start the spar line, and you can see me kind of pointing right there. We'll cut from here on down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and so from here all the way down, you can actually cut this. It's going to be about a quarter, probably at least a 1/2 inch deep. in depth. You want to use this wiggling back and forth technique. That looks perfect. Okay, so we're about a 1/4 to a 1/3 inch from the top of the motor mount. I'm just going to just see from this point here. I'm at like 5 1/4 inch. Just make sure I'm fairly. Yep, I'm exactly 5 1/4 inch on this side as well. So, okay, we're just going to go ahead and mark, and then we'll cut our spar. Okay, so we're going to cut from where our leading edge spar is all the way to the center, and the same thing at the other side. Yeah, batteries are done. Right here. You always test fit by flexing and pushing, and you can wiggle back and forth to help get it past the friction of the foam there. Okay, so it's about like that. So we'll cut one to size as we glue. There we go. That looks great. Okay, and just so you guys know, I'm using basically about 10 to 13 millimeters deep when I'm doing this. I'm actually cutting these deeper than I did my last wing because I don't think I cut my last ones as deep as I'd like. So, okay, so let's cut a spar for this. Let's cut it from here, right there. Okay, so let me just measure these real quick. Continue. Just put a big bit of goop in your fingers here, and then you're going to roll it through so you get the whole spar coated 100%. There we go. And that's why we're wearing gloves. Screwdriver. Take a small screwdriver. If you see any white of the spar, just go ahead and push it down in. And it looks like that's pretty good. What I like to do also is put a last bead of goop at the very top. It'll help seal that front leading edge of the spar. That is it. And actually, I'm just gonna, when goop dries, it actually squeezes together. So even though this is slightly bulbous here, I'm gonna let it dry, and it will actually pull itself together. I will go ahead and place the center one right now. I'll go ahead and do that one. Okay guys, so we are at the part of the build where we're going to start to need to plan out where we're going to have our battery and where we're going to cut out the bay for the battery. So I have my battery laid here, and basically our Coroplast box is going to start right at the edge of where those these front skids end. So we'll have a little bit of a gap between the battery and there. You can see that my GoPro box is going to fit right there if you choose to put that in. Okay, and there's where a board camera will go, there's where the GoPro will go. But so what I did is I outlined where my battery is going to be. You can see probably a very faint outline here of where the battery is going to be. Alright, so this is just you know, as you're building this, you have to think ahead. Where are these going to be? Where's my batteries going to be? And how is the Coroplast box going to be? And we'll also be placing the Coroplast bottom on as well. So this is the bottom material. It's very thick and durable. It's going to add to the strength of the bottom of the wing. And we have the top Coroplast material, which is much thinner, which you guys will see in just a bit. But this is the template that we're going to use for cutting out this box. Okay guys, so I'm going to be cutting out the battery bay here in just a second. I actually made this Coroplast, the thin Coroplast here, this is what you're going to be using for the top, a little bit longer. You can see these T-pins here are going to be right where I'm going to end the Coroplast box, the top at least, where the cut is, because that is where the motor mount goes up to in there, so I can't cut all the way through there. Okay guys, we're starting to cut out this battery box here. I'm using a smaller blade than I'm normally used to because I just happen to run out of these guys. But if you can, use the larger size blade to go through this. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut all the way through, keeping the blade as perpendicular to the counter as possible. Basically, you can see the cut lines are going to be here, 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 and here, and basically that is going to be mirroring the shape of this. This is actually a little bit longer than it needs to be at this point, but I can always cut that down in the future. Yeah, I think we're done. All right, will it go? Yes, it will. Yay! Still something hanging on there. It's a tight squeeze, of course. Yay, so we got a little bit of lap through there. Everywhere else was pretty good though. Not the squarest thing in the world, but I'm going to show you how you can use this block to take care of any inconsistencies that are in the cut there. So all right guys, so it's kind of weird to look through your airplane, but don't worry, it's all gonna be good. Okay guys, so I've cut this block the exact same width as your bottom Coroplast, and this has to have something to glue onto and be strong. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut off the same thickness off the bottom of this block here as this right here, because we're going to use this block to actually make the sides of our box. You can see here that the battery is, there's a good finger's width battery distance between the battery and the walls here, so that's going to help with that. That'll make sense in a moment. So first thing what we want to do is take off this much thickness, which is, I don't know what the thickness of this is, a couple millimeters, and we're going to cut off that from the bottom. Should be using a bigger knife than this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make just an initial cut, and basically this cut is going to be exactly the same thickness as this bottom Coroplast. And I have a little mark here, you might not be able to see it. So I'm going to just, these small portions that I just cut are not important, so I'm just going to break all these off. Okay, so I just need to cut this little section off here and we'll be finished. There we go. Okay, bottom is done. Okay guys, so at this point I've cut the bottom part of the box off, which is about the same thickness of this. I'm going to go ahead and glue this into place right now so that we can set the box pieces on top of that. And again, this will make sense as we go along, so you can always skip forward to the video to get a sneak peek. So I'm going to flip this over. Okay, so this is going to be glued in just like that. Okay guys, we're gonna wait for that to dry, and we can always reinforce that with some hot glue later on if we wish, but for right now that's gonna be our bottom, and we'll be using our block chunks to associate with that on the other side. So let me just flip this back over. Actually, I'll leave it like this until we get done drying. Okay guys, so we have the bottom of the Coroplast box in place. Now, the reason I wanted you guys to keep this block intact is because we're going to cut just a slight bit off of both ends straight here that are going to go inside here, which will be stepped down just a little bit to leave a recess for our upper Coroplast box here. So, and the cool thing about this is slightly contoured, so it will match the contours of that, and it'll fit perfectly because this is the exact cut that came out of here. So I'm going to start off with the front leading edge here, and you can see I kind of cut it at an angle. So here's the thing that is, if you cut these slightly off like I did, I wasn't perfectly 90 degrees, is that this will match exactly what we have going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut here just a little, probably about almost a half an inch. That's not a half an inch. Okay, 1/4 inch. I'm going to cut 1/4 inch strips off of here. I'm just going to estimate here. I'll see how my estimation skills are going to be. Once again, thank you to Volker. I'll put a link in the description to his channel so that you guys can check out his very cool build tips as well. So let's just see how this fits. So this is going to go right inside here, and that's perfect. And we're going to cut just a little bit off the bottom so it steps this down a tiny bit. And my blade bent just a little bit on that last section. It can never be perfect, can it? Kind of. That we have a little step here, and that's where this Coroplast box is going to recess into. So I'm going to glue that into place, and I'll glue one here and on the sides as well. Now we're going to cut off the back edge. So we're going to go like this, and I did cut this one at an angle as well, so I'm going to just give it about the same thing, about 1/4 inch. Try and do it all in one cut so you don't have recuts as you go through. As I just did. Alright, so this guy here, let's cut off of here. It's going to go right inside here. Except now I'm going to cut off a little bit from the bottom edge so it'll have that little bit of a recess. There we go. Just enough to give it a nice recess. There we go. Okay guys, there's step number 2 right there. Now we're going to cut the sides off. This one for the right, this one for the left, and it looks like I got a little curvy on this one, so it's a good thing that we're cutting this off from the original block. Okay guys, what do you think of that? So that is a perfect way of making a step down box instead of having it come in like I did in my first video and having to cut things out. You can change the height of this a little bit if you need to, and it'll stay that way. Looks like I have enough room for this 3200 milliamp battery pack. Okay guys, so we've cut out our bay for our battery, and what we're going to do now is we're going to go on to our servos, which will be right about here. Our receiver, which is going to be on the right side of the wing, and left side is going to be VTX. Now you always want to run your VTX on the left side, just from trials and doing this before. If you put it on the right side, you end up crossing wires up a lot more often, and it's just simpler to run this on the left side. So what we're going to do is we are going to cut these bays in 2 different ways. Number one, we're going to outline each of these components with a razor knife, either the small or the large. First things first is we're going to do the servo, which is going to be right over here. You can just very lightly see that I've made an outline of the servo here. And what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to cut around the servo, and just to let you guys know, from this corner point right here, the base of this servo is 4 inches over. Let's see, is that correct? Yes, this base of this right here is 4 inches over from this angled point right here. And I do want to stress that you want to put these servos as far forward as you can. Right here is basically the spar, so we can't make this go any further forward. The way I have this here is it's going to make the control rod for the servo go right into the meat of the Elevon, not in the very end. If you put it in the very end, it can break. So you probably want to get like a paint pen or something like that. I have this pencil here, but it's better to have actually a marker so you can actually see it a little better. I'm actually going to hold this servo in place as I cut around it, and then we'll go around it one more time at a certain depth here. And that is basically it. Now we're going to take our router, and I'm going to make the router bit the exact same depth of the servo. So it has a little adjustable bit here. You're going to loosen this up, and you can see this goes up and down. And I'm going to make this the exact same height as that servo. So I'm going to cinch this down, do a little double check. So you can see, guys, that there's the router bit. And let's go ahead and route this out here. So now that we've made the outlet line here, basically this never has to touch the outline, and when it gets there, it'll actually rip this foam away. And be careful, because you can inhale this in accidentally, because it makes this foam just break up into little tiny pieces. But this is going to leave a really nice clean bottom. One of the hard parts about cutting bays is that it leaves usually a jagged bottom. So let's go ahead and turn this on. Basically, when you're going through, you want to go in small circles and just kind of make your kind of go out in an orbit and go out further and further until you reach that cut line that you've made. So you guys can see there's my cut line right there. It's going to be nice and sharp, right where we want it. So. I made a nice mess there. Let me go ahead and shake this thing out here into the trash can. Right, there is the pocket for our servo. Let's see what the fit looks like here. And it is just perfect for that servo. You could probably go down just a tiny bit more. It looks like I just have a couple little pieces that are caught in there. So let's see here. Okay. Okay, guys. So we're going to be using this. You can get like a Weller soldering iron. This is a very cheap one. I just got it off of Craigslist. And basically you make a coat wire hanger, or it's actually probably better to get a slightly larger diameter than this one. I had to modify this quite a bit to get this like this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to cut out this bay for the ESC, and that's a fairly shallow ESC. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark on here where the depth of the ESC, which is right here, and I mark it on this side as well so I can see. So basically I can know about how deep I need to go. There's going to be a bay over here, so I know I can go a little bit deeper than that. So I'm going to mark a little bit higher than that, so it'll give us room to do the. So this is just giving you guys some options on how to do this. You could do this straight with an X-Acto blade and start plucking the stuff out. What a lot of guys do is they make several cuts through here and they just take a pliers and pluck it all out. There's several ways to do this. I'm just experimenting with different ways of doing it. So we have about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to start to cut here. It's not quite hot enough yet. Let's give it a little bit more time. There we go. So this is what we're going to be doing on the phone. Then we're going to start drawing it across. So I'm going to let go of the trigger now. You can see that it still is cutting. Put the trigger on again. It did stop right there, so probably shouldn't take the trigger off for too long. So we're going to basically make a bay just like that. Now this is going to require a steady hand, and I would say it's probably not going to make quite as a clean cut, but it does singe the foam and it really seals everything up, which is really nice. Okay, so wish me luck, guys. So I would suggest keeping a paper towel around so you can keep your cutting a bit clean here. Okay, so here's where we're going to go. See, I'm going to actually pull towards myself so I can see these marks on here. I'm going to make these marks a little bit more well defined so I definitely will know how deep to go. Okay. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna hold this until I'm gonna kind of test it on here. Okay, we are definitely cutting now. I'm gonna get as close to that spar as I can. So here I go. Keep going down to my mark. There we go. I'm actually a little bit too, I'm not deep enough here, so I'm gonna go a little deeper. And looking at my marks, just trying to keep those marks right at this, right at the same spot where I'm cutting. This is the first time I've done this, guys. So you're here for my maiden of my soldering gun. Okay, I'm right at the line. I'm pulling it up now. There we go. Let's check it out. Yep, looks a little bit like a chocolate bar over here. So it looks like I need to just melt that down right there. But yeah, nice spot for my VTX. Maybe a little bigger than I needed, but I know that this is a very small VTX, and some guys kind of cut out where the antenna goes, and you can actually glue stuff back in if you need to, which is the nice part about EPP. Okay, there's that. I do need to clean this up a little bit. I have a couple little spots here I want to clean up. So, okay guys, I'm going to be doing the receiver bay now, and I'm going to make my blade just a little bit deeper than the actual receiver because I know we're going to have a bay cover over here. And if you can see here, we have a bay box that's marked out here to here, and the side is over here. So I'm going to just go ahead and freehand cut this. Make sure you have this blade locked in place, which I didn't. Yeah, that's going to be perfect right there. Make this a little bit deeper than my servo. And a little bit deeper than the actual receiver, so that we're going to go right about there. Just another tip, guys. Rest your palm of the heel of your hand on the wing, and have your wing bed in there because basically all you're doing is just going in small circles. If you have your hand off the table, this thing can dig into your wing and run with it. So you want to limit the movement of this as it's going along. Okay guys, as you can see, we have a nice bay here. A couple little fingerlings left on here. I'm going to go ahead and take those out now too. Let's go along and finish that off.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay guys, so we're at the point where we have cut all of our bays out. Receiver here, VTX here, servos. We need to run little underground tunnels going from the servo bay to the receiver bay. This servo is going to be hooked into this receiver here. All the connections from your other servo need to come through here, so we need to run a tunnel from the main battery bay up into here. And since the battery's going to be up front here, I think I'm going to run the hole further back here and up into here. And the way I'm going to do that, you can do it a couple different ways. You can take a hot soldering iron and do this, but I'm going to take an independent piece of wire here, heat it up, and basically poke it through from here all the way through, from here all the way through, from here to here to here. So we'll just do that real quick here. I'll take all these things out, but you have to think about like where the wire is coming out and where you need that wire to go. As far as like I know this wire here needs to come into this bay, but we're going to run it along this last edge, so it's going to go from here, this corner to this corner here, and same thing from this corner out into the bay here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I basically have just a handheld torch here, so I'm going to heat this up. Probably at least a good 5-6 seconds here. And what this will do is it'll just burrow a tunnel through. And so I'm going to go from this corner here to the other corner there. And I'm going to make this as big as I can because it needs to have a servo wire go through there. Basically the head of this servo needs to go through there. So, yep, that servo lead I should say, not the head of the servo. Okay, so that's that. We'll do another one here. Now painting, we'll get to after we're done painting. We're not going to film that section because this is mainly just a build video. Alright guys, thanks. Alright guys, so we just got done painting the Legit Wing Fohdy. And basically I used the same design that I did on the V2S, but I just did a little different take on it. Basically I sprayed it with white first with these designs in place, and then once we did the white, and I basically took the design and I shifted it over just about 2 millimeters or so. You can see that. And actually, Truman, if you want to come in here, if you want to start taking these off, I'll take these off here on this side. Truman's helping me film today. You guys should check out his channel. You guys should check out his channel. Make sure you subscribe because he's awesome. So we'll peel these guys off and we'll see what it looks like underneath. I'm really not even sure what it's going to look like. I'm hoping it'll be awesome. Alright, you ready to do the reveal? Yeah. Oh, that looks cool. That's even better than I thought it was going to be. Alright, guys, check that out. I think that's going to be really awesome. Johnny, this one's mine. I'm not giving this one back to you. Hey guys, so we're going to start our lamination process now. I already have sprayed the top and bottom of the wing with Super 77, which is a spray adhesive, tacky adhesive. You let that dry for just like a couple minutes. It's really not even necessary to let it dry. But in your kit, you're going to see you have a fairly long piece of laminate that you're going to sit on the top of the wing here. Make sure that you laminate inside of the wing beds, because if you don't, you can actually flex the wing and create some things that you don't want in the wing as far as the wing twisting it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the you'll see that on the laminate there is a shiny side and a matte side. You want to put the matte side down, shiny side up. You're going to get it right to the very corners of the wing here. Because the wing has the Super 77 on it, you want to pull this kind of tight here and then kind of tack it down onto the wing. You want to kind of make sure that the wing, as you push it over here, it doesn't have any major wrinkles in it. This is the real secret to not getting any major runs in the wrinkles, and I'm going to show you also a technique on how to laminate this without getting any wrinkles as well. Now this wing has a lot of curvature to it, so we might end up having to dart the laminate in certain places, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So now I've laid this out. I don't have any major wrinkles going on. What I'm going to do is start from the center. I usually make a couple of stripes, and then I connect the stripes. What that does is it prevents any running wrinkles. So let's say if you have a wrinkle that starts here, if you keep just laminating to the outside, sometimes that wrinkle will just keep continuing on. And if you do this in stripes, it actually stops that from happening. And once again, make sure that you are in your wing bed, the lower wing bed. Here we're doing the top. So I have the heat set up just a little bit above half. Your iron might be a little bit different. So start from the center. You don't need to be on for very long. Circles always work the best for evening things out. Okay, so you can see there's a little bit of a wrinkle starting here, but that's because there's a bit of a curvature there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down like this in a stripe. Stripe here. You can see that color starting to come through with the paint, which is fantastic. Try not to pull too much, because that will also create wrinkles as well. And before you start this, and I did this, I actually went through the wing and made sure there was no fingerlings or the little parts of the laminate that were sticking up, little free parts. Okay, you can see we have the stripes here. Now we're just going to go through and in circles connect everything together. You can kind of pull the laminate a little tighter in the leading edge here. You can see that color coming through really nice. And you can see there's absolutely no running wrinkles anywhere. That's a secret to not getting any whatsoever here. There we go. I've done so many of these wings now, I feel like I'm a bit of an expert at lamination. Okay, so what you want to do is just go through and just erase where there's any light matte color. You can see as the iron goes over it, it turns it into a bit of an adhesive as well. Okay, so we're going to start our stripes here. I'm going to push this down a little bit. Not hard. Just going to kind of tack this into place. Okay, so what we're going to do right now, guys, is we're going to dart from this corner in and this corner in as well. We're going to wrap those around to the underside. Make sure you have a dough. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn this upside down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my lower wing bed now, put this on the top of this, and we're going to flip this over, remove the bottom wing bed. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, so take this off here. And this also has a Super 77. Now make sure that none of the fingerlings from the wing bed are on this section here. Bring this over. What this does is it allows you to kind of have double layer on the lower here. So as you're tacking these into place, you don't need to fully get it down. You want to go up to about a centimeter before the edge, because if your iron touches the paint or the foam, it will automatically get super sticky. Then you've got to clean your iron. So okay guys, so what we're going to do here is we're also going to dart this front section here. We're going to make a line straight from the corner pieces right here, straight forward. These are going to fold in. We'll do the center section first. So let's see here, I'm going to hold this tight. And let's see here. Let's see if I can. There we go. It does not matter if you're super accurate here, as long as you have the dart corner started in the right spot. This all leads to better strength of your wing. So we're going to take this front part, and this front part is almost like a diamond shape. So I think I'm going to dart this in the very center as well. I don't know if this is what Team Legit recommends, but this is what I'm doing. So, all right, so this is going to dart here. It's going to kind of X crisscross here, just like that. Okay. And this is actually going to be cut into. We're going to be putting the GoPro box there, so this really doesn't have much bearing on what we're doing here. So. Watch out, guys, because the laminate has got a lot of static electricity to it, so it always wants to pick up dust and foam bits as you're doing this. So here we're going to cross this over. Now you're going to notice there's a little triangle that always gets left off here. So what we want to do is just right now we're going to take a little triangle first, and this is going to be laminated right here first, so that we don't have any, we have it on top here, it's going to catch air, so we're going to put this underneath right here. Okay, in general, guys, we have the whole bottom of the wing laminated. I'm going to take this back edge and go ahead and cut this off. That's our last bit that we need to do, and we'll cut the edges off. Some people like to laminate the very edge of the wing. I don't like to. I like to cut it off so that the winglet will actually have foam to glue onto rather than gluing it to laminate. So, okay, so take a very sharp knife here, guys. I'm just going to take so far so good. We can always go back and we can hit the spots that we've missed, like through here and whatnot, but at this point it's just pretty much done. Got a nice stiff laminated wing, and we're ready to put on the Elevons and mount our motor mount, and then basically this build will be done. You guys are going to be putting in your own VTX and receiver. I will put in the servos in just a little bit after we do the Elevons. Okay guys, so now we are going to laminate our Elevons. This is the way it goes on the airplane right here, like this. You're going to have a more narrow section here and the wider section here. And underneath here is the beveled section. If yours isn't beveled here, you'll need to bevel it yourself at a 45-degree angle. So this is the edge that is beveled. I have the lamination here with the matte side up. And basically we're going to take this Elevon, the right Elevon, and flip it over to where that beveled edge is right there. And we'll take this. Basically what we do is we're going to laminate this side here over once and over again to where when this is placed on the airplane, the last leading edge is off this top here. We don't want the final edge to be facing forward because that will catch air and make your airplane less efficient. So, so once again we have the beveled edge going like this, and we're going to go ahead and laminate this right like this. So what I'm going to do is just pull it over and we'll laminate it on this first edge right here. So just like this. I got a little bit hot. The paint started turning liquid. That's not good. Alright. Okay, so we have, this is our beveled edge right here, that's going to go right like that. So that is the first spot you want to go to, and you're going to have all your excess weight. We're going to go around and back to the top leading edge. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over, getting it nice and taut. Turn it over like this. Okay, I'm going to go one more time here. Just like that. Let's get this edge first here. Yep. I got bunched up a little bit right there. It's kind of weird. Oh, there we go. Once again, when you do stripes here, it'll prevent running wrinkles. So there we go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and cut this out now. Oh, this is right. That's going to be facing that will have windows. We'll just do one of these at a time. We're going to do one Elevon and one servo so that you guys can see. Okay, guys. So if you made it to this part of the build, congratulations, because this is a long build. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be placing our servos with a little bit of hot glue. We're going to be placing our Elevons with a little bit of tape. And we're going to be using some of these clevis horns or Elevon horns. And this is the Elevon keeper right here. We're also going to make a 90-degree bend with this and our clevis, which is one of these brass clevises, which is what you'll have in your kit. All right. First things first. Let's go ahead and place our Elevon. And what you want to do is get some really good Scotch packing tape from 3M. And we're just going to lay a piece of tape on there, and that is basically going to be it. You want maybe about a ½ millimeter gap in between the Elevon and the plane, but that is about it. You want to have it fairly tight, but you also want it to flop down freely as well. We want to get this pretty exact to the length of the thing. Truman, would you hold that tape roll, please? Thank you. I'm just going to cut that right there. Thank you. There we go. So we're going to place this halfway on the Elevon, just like that. There we go. I'm going to cut off this little excess bit right here. Okay guys, so what you want to do is angle this down just a slight bit and get yourself out just a tiny gap in between the airplane and the Elevon. Let's see how we did here. Good. So this easily will flap downwards, and it has a nice upward travel. Now you can let go now. So if you guys are not comfortable with just having that on there, you can flap this all the way up and put another piece of tape underneath there. I've never had to do that in all the years that I've had my Legit wings, so I just like to keep it simple and just do the top one. So now we need to determine basically a straight line for the control horn to come back, and we're going to basically mount our control horn right about here somewhere. Now the rule of thumb with these control horns is you want the eye of the control horn to be right at the hinge line of the Elevon. So sometimes if you had this slightly too far back or too far forward compared to the other one, you'll get differential. So basically what that means is when you pull up elevator, one Elevon will come up a little bit faster or sooner than the other one. Okay, so our servo is here. So basically this is the horizontal line that we want to bring back all the way to here. I'm going to grab a ruler, about 10.5 inches. 10.5 inches, that's actually pretty good right there. So actually I was a little bit off, so I'm going to go right there is where I'm going to put that clevis. Horn, I get the clevises and the horns mixed up all the time. Okay, so I'm going to place this here. I'm going to take a T-pin, and I'm going to put 2 little holes in there where the clevis should go, the horn should go. There, I'm going to take a little hand drill and drill all the way through, so that'll actually lead the screws through the balsa. So I just have one of these little guys. It's just a drill bit on a handle, so if you guys have an actual drill, you can drill through. There we go. But basically you have to get this inserted into the backing plate as it goes through to the bottom, so it's a little tough, but let's see if we can push that through. Oh, there we go, pushed right through. Awesome. So let's push this other one through. So basically, guys, I'm going to be putting this backing plate on here. It's really tough to get in there, so I'm going to stop the recording here, and I'll join you guys when I get this all the way through and finished. So at this point, you're going to glue in your servo. I'm not going to glue this one in since this is a demonstration plane, so I'm going to pass this through here, our holes that we made earlier. Don't be shy, my friend. Come on through. Okay. So this is going to go right like that. Look how nice that looks. There we go. We want to screw this in about halfway so that we have recourse. So basically you can wind it this way or that way, barring any mistakes that we've made here. So, and basically all we need to do is make a 90-degree turn going this way. And obviously these holes in the servo are not the proper size, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up the end of this and push it through the second hole. It's going to make it a perfect hole for this without having to drill, which is really nice. So let's take a look. Don't fry off Trimman's face. And my old saying is, hot metal looks exactly like cold metal, so be careful. You push that through. Like that, and you push it all the way through. Now it's actually cooling that spot. Let the metal cool off a little bit and then pull it all the way through, and you have a perfect spot to go through. So what we need to do now is we're going to measure where our bend needs to be. That'll be 90 degrees going in, so it's going to be there. I can't. There we go. I'm just going to grab. So here I'm just going to make a 90-degree bend, just like that, and we're going to cut this off. Alright, so these little end keepers are going to go right on the end of this. There we go. It's going to flop forward here. It's going to go through that hole that we just made, like that. And if you've done everything correctly, that means you will have no play in the servo system whatsoever. There we go. Put that on through the end. I'm going to flop it over and click it into place. There we go. And of course we have our servo that's moving right now, but okay, so let's just put this in. So here's our working Elevon right here. And that is it. Alright guys, so I'm currently making the winglets for the Legit Wing Fohdy, and you will be getting large size winglets here, which is okay. I like to shorten mine just a little bit, and what I like to do is make mine just long enough to where you can sit it on its edge, on these edges here, and not hit your Elevon. So what that made it for me was about 7 3/4 inches, which brings this, you guys can maybe see this, sorry it's not going to be focused, but there's a little line that's right here. And basically I took one Elevon on top of the other, I measured it to the proper length, I placed it here, and I took a ballpoint pen. So I'm keeping the same exact profile that Team Legit made these ends on. So basically I put a line there, and now I have both of my Elevons ready to go. And it's really easy to cut these out. I'm just going to take a knife and cut them out, so I'll show you that right now. Before I do that, just to let you know, I did skip ahead. I went ahead and put in both my Elevons. Actually glued in my servos because this is going to be my airplane. I also placed the lid to the battery bay here. All you have to do is cut this to the size that you had it at, and you're going to cut halfway through to make a hinge on this corrugated plastic. So you don't cut all the way through, just half the distance. And I hot glued this into place, holding it all the while, so it keeps that little bit of a contour. I can either place a magnet here or some Velcro to hold this down. So that's going to look how nice this looks. It's really good. Because this Coroplast is flexible, it's going to conform to the shape and size of this box, and look how seamless this looks. It's fantastic. So I also made my Coroplast doors for my receiver and my VTX. This will be in here. Basically, I'm going to be putting a piece of tape here, so this will hinge up, and I'll put a little pull tab right here so I can actually close these in. You can see they're pretty much friction fit here. So let me just go ahead and pop this one in here so you'll get an idea for what that's going to look like. Once again, nice and smooth, aerodynamic, and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these out here with my large knife here. I suppose I could do it with this one as well, but this is very thick and tough. So I'm going to just get myself a nice sharp blade here, and we'll go to town. Don't worry about screwing up because it's not particularly necessary for you to be accurate on this. It's nice if you are, but it's not devastating if you're not. Okay, so the amount that I cut off here is about, let's see here, almost 1.5 inches, just short of 1.5 inches. So you can keep this for making something else. We have our two winglets ready to go, and there's this one edge that has a slight bit of a blocky shape to it, and one side that has curved. The blocky shape is going towards the bottom, so I think I'm actually going to paint these. Okay guys, so I just installed my motor mount here. There's really nothing to it. There's four bolts, 4 screws that go through to the bottom. And the motor mount is reversible. You can run it either this way or the other way depending on your motor setup and style. So this is the way I'm running mine, I believe. To start with, I haven't even grabbed my motor yet, but I think this is the orientation. But you can actually move the motor mount, slide it up or back, depending on what your motor needs are. So like I said, there's not a lot to it. 4 bolts and forward or backwards. This is the point in the build where we're going to be mounting our GoPro style camera box. Now I'm going to choose to not use this because I'm going to be using my run cam and this run cam owl. So if you guys are going to be using this camera box, basically what you're going to do is you're going to make a mark on either side and then cut back anywhere from about 1/4 to 1/2 inch depending on what your choice is. So once you have that 1/4 to 1/2 inch cut out, you're going to glue this in place. Now this box has holes in the side where your cable from your camera is going to be coming into. There's a hole on this side as well if you need that. Most people don't. But go ahead and glue this in place, and then both of your skids are going to go on either side of this. So you can either run your camera cable out of the side here for your FPV camera or on the back. You always want to run your FPV camera on the left side. It just tends to work out better. Same thing with the VTX. Okay, so guys, I am going to do something a little differently. So if this is your build and you're going to be using this, this is what you're going to be doing. So instead of this being here, I'm going to have my run cam on the right and the run cam on the left. So I'll have dueling run cams. Now the only problem with this is that the run cam won't be quite as far forward as it normally would be. I might see some of the skid on this one side, but I'm okay with that. I may insert this in here, test it out, or kind of test out what this looks like, and I may make a little bitty like a little shelf here to put the run cam right there. So still unsure, but I'm going to go ahead and start to cut the spot for the run cam too. This is something I've never done, so you guys get to witness it firsthand. Bang on one. All right. Front cam's gonna go right about there. Haha! I might dig this back just a little bit, and I also might run a single spar going across the front here. I don't know. So this is a little bit crooked, so it needs to go this way a little bit. So not a big deal since it's a tight fit. I can actually just take a little bit off of this edge right here. I blame you guys again because I'm inverted here. I can't see what I'm doing. Alright, so that's going to go there. I might glue in the cradle that goes along with the run cam like I said, I might mount this here. I might actually take one of the metal mounts and actually just screw it right in there, so I'll have my run cam to see with. It looks like it'll work out to be a pretty clean system, and it also gets some of the weight out up front as well, so about as much as the GoPro would. So basically it's going to look like that, and this is still a little bit tacky from the paint, so I'm going to keep this away here. So there we go. That looks pretty good. My other skid's going to go there. What do you guys think? Pretty cool? I think so. Alright, see you guys in just a sec. Let's see, what will we be doing next? We'll be gluing the skids on and the winglets. This is the part of the build where we're going to be putting on our winglets, and what you want to do is find about where the middle of the winglet is. So I'm going to go here to the back, not quite all the way to the back, about as far back as where the wing ends and the Elevon begins, right about there. So I want to find out where the middle point of this is, which is, let's see, it is so it's about 4.5 inches. So I'm going to go 2 1/4 inches, and I'm going to make a little mark, which is right there. So that is basically dead center in this, and the center of this point is right about there. So basically I want the point of my wing showing up right here, and the other part of the wing right there. So as I'm gluing this on, I'm going to be looking for these marks, and you can see it as I'm going to glue this. You can see the other side I've got a little design on. As I glue this, I'm going to put this down here. The very tip is here, and I want this to end up being in the center of the foam. A couple of things here, and I mentioned this in my last video, is that you do not want any overhang. You don't want the leading edge to be in front of this at all. So, okay, so you want the winglet to look like this. The very leading edge of the winglet should match the leading edge of the wing. So basically just like that. You do not want it to be like this at all. What happens is air gets caught in this area and it causes wing waggle. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hot glue here. I'm going to take my knife and just kind of stab it in a little bit so that hot glue can actually get really far into the wing. I'm just going to kind of stab this a little bit. I'm going to hot glue the heck out of this thing right here. The hot glue does not like to stick to plastic very well, so if you just roughen this up a slight bit, it's going to really help things out. I'm just going to leave it rough like that. Alright, so I'm going to hot glue here. Suddenly I'm speaking like an Englishman, so don't mind that. Hope I have enough glue in the stick to do this. It would suck if I had to start halfway through, and I might. Alright, that's a good starting point. So I'm going to match up the tip to the very front of the wing. I'm looking at this line here that I made. I'm going to put my finger on both sides, and I'm going to start to push it down. Now let's take a quick peek here. I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. Alright, there we go. I've got my winglet on. Now I'm going to run a bead of hot glue along the edge of the wing here as well, so that will give it a better chance of sticking on. I've actually never had winglets come off unless I've really crashed super hard. So we're going to do the other one, and there's a little bit of a technique to get the other one on and matching that one. Okay guys, so one of the things that you're going to want to do as you're placing your second winglet here is, once you get it tacked in place, you're going to want to stand the wing up on a solid surface, and I have my workbench here. Move my keys out of the way there. And once you stand it up on the other one, you're going to want to make sure that this is not peg legging on 3 surfaces. So if one is up, then you know you're slightly a bit off, so you basically have to adjust it and then hold it in place. There we go. I put quite a bit on there, probably a little bit too much. let's see here. I'm going to put the leading edge there. I can see the spot where the other one is. So once this gets tacked up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and stand it on its end. Alright, so let's do this. So we kind of have it tacked in place. I'm going to hold this on here, and we are off. So let's, there we go. I'm going to make this come up just a little bit. There we go. I want this to touch my finger. And we'll let this dry just like this. Looks really nice. I'm just going to pick this up, and I will let it dry independently here. So there we are. And I'll set this on the counter here and just let it dry. Okay guys, so we are to the part of the build where we're going to be putting in our skids. Skids are going to be located about a 1/4 inch in from the diamond shape right here. You're going to see it's about from here. It's going to be about a 1/4 inch in from here. Basically, I've preloaded a T-pin on the top and the bottom, so I'm going to be putting goop all the way in through here, very heavily. And when we're done putting these in place, I'm going to actually put a bead of hot glue on the outside. So it'll be goop and hot glue doing the same thing to help keep these things secure. So basically it's going to go here and here, and goop is going to give you a little bit of time to make sure that these are perfectly straight. You don't want them to be off because it acts as a little bit of a rudder. So you want these to be perfectly straight up and down, which is a good thing. So, alright, so yeah, these will be actually tilted slightly like this. So let's go ahead and do it. Let me grab my goop here. It's amazing, I went through a whole entire bottle of goop in this entire build here. Okay. There we are. The goop's coming out. Ugh. Let's see if we can get this back into where it should be. There we go. It's where it's nice to wear gloves. Okay, I'm just going to put this on. Right there. And I'm going to press this down and press the top pin in. I'm going to look at the bottom pin. I'm going to make sure that this is completely perpendicular to the countertop, and I'm now pushing in the pin. There we go. It's nice and straight. Let's do the other one. Let's do this. Alright. Squeeze this out the very end here. So just enough. Please quite down this. There we go. Nice healthy bead. Top bottom. Alright. Back origin. Maybe half-inch. I'm just saying slightly. A little bit. That's not enough. Okay, so top pin, top pin. This a little bit more. Top pin. And this is able to move right left so you get perfectly line up here. Alright guys, I think that's the end of the build actually. I don't think we have much more to, there's nothing else to do, so let me just take a quick peek here. Okay guys, that is the build. You're going to use your motor, your VTX, your receiver, and your battery here. So the only thing I haven't done is put a little piece of Velcro there to do that. You can locate your ESC in here. You can dig out a little position for it right here if you wish. I like to have my ESCs on the outside so they get adequate cooling, so that's really a choice that's up to you. Alright, so let's see here. Well, alright guys, that is the end of the Legit Wing Fohdy build. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got some helpful tips on how to build this thing. It's a wonderful wing. I can't wait to get this up and start flying it, and you guys will see that on my channel. So this is the top. That's the bottom. I just went pretty simple on the bottom, but some slight stripes here. Thank you again to Johnny from Team Legit for sending me this kit to build for you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Alright, Truman.
Hey.
What's going on, man?
Not much.
So this is Truman, you guys, and he's a local kid. He's in my neighborhood here, and we first met each other at the Drone Expo, right?
Yeah.
In LA.
Yeah.
But anyway, he came by. He's on a summer vacation, and I'm in the middle of building the Legit Wing Fohdy. And he's been helping me build as we've been going along. You know, he basically asked me, you know, hey, you want some help? And he's really good at filming as well. And check out your channel. What is your channel?
That Drone Kid.
That Drone Kid. Yeah, he has some really cool stuff on there. So, so what did you think about building some of the Fohdy?
It was pretty fun, just seeing how it's all put together and how to put in spars and all of that. So.
Yep. And tomorrow we might be putting in some electronics. So. Anyway, dude, thanks for your help. I appreciate it, man.
No problem.
We'll see you soon.